It was lunch break, and the sun was merciless, beating down on the courtyard like it had picked a favorite victim. Sophie had only been at Lincoln High for 2 weeks, still finding her footing in a world that seemed to run on popularity and whispers. She was quiet, reserved, carrying the invisible baggage of her family's sudden move from another city. Her clothes were plain, from last season, and her long hair always pulled into a simple braid. Her lunch, homemade leftovers packed by her mum with care, not the flashy fast food that popular kids flaunted. Sophie never sought attention. Yet, in middle school, standing out by not standing out could make you a target. She carefully carried her tray across the courtyard, scanning for a corner where she could eat in peace. That's when she heard Ita's sharp, fake giggle slicing through the chatter. Her stomach clenched. "Hey, new girl. Where do you think you're going in those ugly pants?" Sophie froze, her hands tightening around the tray. The voices were unmistakable. Madison, Amber, and Zoe, the infamous mean girl trio. Everyone knew them. They were cheerleaders, social media queens, masters of subtle cruelty. One wrong move, and they could make you feel smaller than air before she could even look away. Madison stepped forward, her fingers hooking into the waistband of Sophie's pants. "Let's give her a makeover," she sneered, her laugh cruel and sharp. Amber lunged from behind, tugging at Sophie's pants, and Zoe's laughter joined in. A chorus of malice that made Sophie's knees tremble. They were trying to humiliate her in front of the entire courtyard. Some students whipped out their phones, eager to catch the drama. Others just watched, frozen by fear or curiosity. But they had no idea they'd picked the wrong target this time. A chill ran through Sophie's body, but not the kind that came from fear. It was anger, raw and fiery, bubbling up after months of keeping quiet. She wasn't just the shy new girl anymore. What no one at Lincoln High realized was that Sophie had trained in Krav Maga for 3 years back in her old towner. Discipline her dad had insisted on after a bullying incident. She had promised herself she wouldn't fight unless it was necessary. And this was more than necessary. With a speed that made heads turn, Sophie twisted her hips, grabbed Madison's wrist, and snapped it backward. Madison yelped, dropping her hold immediately. Sophie didn't pause. She pivoted smoothly, catching Amber by surprise. One precise palm strike to Amber's chest was enough not to injure, but to shove her stumbling onto the lunch table, juice and sandwiches flying over her crisp white cheer uniform. Zoe lunged next, but Sophie planted her feet, eyes sharp and steady. A quick sweep of her leg, and Zoe toppled to the ground, landing with a startled thud. The courtyard went silent, the students' mouths hanging open as they realized the quiet new girl was anything but helpless. Zoe hit the ground hard, her phone skidding across the concrete. The courtyard froze, silence stretching like a held breath. Sophie's voice cut through it, calm, sharp, and colder than ice. "If you ever touch me again, I promise I won't stop here." The trio of bullies froze, humiliated and stunned. Madison clutched her wrist, eyes wide with disbelief. Amber frantically wiped juice from her uniform, trembling like a leaf. And Zoe, the girl who always had a cruel remark ready, found herself utterly speechless. For a tense moment, Sophie expected laughter, sneers, maybe even whispers turning against her. But then, something unexpected happened. From the back of the courtyard, a quiet, round-faced girl named Emily, who usually kept to herself, stood up. Slowly, she began clapping. One hand, then two, then a growing rhythm. Other students followed. The ones who had always been too scared to speak, the ones who watched bullies run rampant, found someone to root for. Sophie's heart pounded, adrenaline still coursing, but she lifted her chin high. She hadn't sought attention, didn't want to be a hero. Yet, in that moment, standing up for herself had done something more. It had shown others that courage can be contagious. And in the next few days, whispers in the hallways changed. People looked at her differently. Respect, curiosity, maybe even a little admiration. Sophie realized that sometimes the strength you didn't know you had could change not just your own story, but the story of everyone around you. The days that followed weren't easy. Sophie had to sit through meetings in the principal's office, explaining everything over and over. Madison's parents tried to stir up trouble, but several students stepped forward, showing videos of the bullies attacking first. For once, the truth mattered on the school took Sophie's side. Suddenly, the quiet new girl was known as the one who stood up, the girl who refused to be broken. But Sophie didn't let it change her. She stayed humble, stayed kind. She sat with Emily at lunch, laughed with kids who had always been invisible. And slowly, a new circle of friends formed. Sophie taught more than just self-defense that day. She showed others it was okay to stand up for yourself, to set boundaries, and to never let anyone treat you like less than you are. She faced her fear of confrontation. She risked school punishment. She endured whispers and sideways glances. She learned when to use her strength and when to lead with compassion. Most importantly, she built trust in a new school, proving that even after a painful start, courage and kindness could create something stronger than fear in the end. Sophie didn't just survive middle school, she changed it, and the lesson was clear. Standing up for yourself doesn't make you mean, it makes you unstoppable.